tooth. Okay, getting audio set up. Connect. Okay. Nice. All right. Hello, everyone who's going to be watching our recording. This is Community Right Live Sessions. We just ended cycle 2, which was family and friends accepting my healing. This is our last story and our last live session for a little while, so we're really excited about this one. So first, what is Community Right? Community Right is a month-long process of writing and telling the story most healing to yourself, to you, to the person who's writing and embarking on the journey. We work with unpacking, editing, clarifying, rediscovering, and then we have a ceremony at the end where we kind of all connect everyone who has gone through this process of telling their story. And we relate, we laugh, we read some affirmations, and we continue our journey of healing. So this was a particularly fun one because this was the second edition, the second cycle, and therefore there were many more people. We had 5 writers for this cycle, and I think each person taught me something a little different about community, which has been the driving purpose of it all, as much as it's for them, for the people who join the process to learn about how to further heal through writing as a medium. It's also for me. I've been on this journey of rediscovering what I want community to be, and that has been from suffering within community and community not quite being what I've needed it to be for my soul. So I'm really excited to share with you what community has been for me in regards to this story that we're going to share. I share each time. And so with Miriam's story, which is who we have today, I really learned a lot about community in the sense of internal community, in the sense of connecting to myself as a source of community. Not always reaching outward to others, but not forgetting to be in tuned and to attune to what's happening in my spirit or within. To me, it's like it comes in a voice in my head. For other people, it may be through prayer, or it may be through your grandma's voice who passed away that you still hear and you still connect to. However it shows up, it may be your younger self speaking to you, or a version of yourself speaking to you. Nevertheless, it's coming from within, and it wants to be heard. And so I've really been tapping into listening to her and what she has to say. And she has a lot of nice things to say. I also have just a poem that I want to share that aligns with that journey I have been taking. Forgive me, there's like a plane passing by. There may be some sounds. So as I read the poem, try to connect to my words and don't really pay attention to whatever you hear. Just consider it a part of the experience, right? It's a part of everyday life. As much as we need to attune to the voices in our head, there's also sounds and other people's voices that are surrounding us constantly. So I think it's an important practice, actually, to learn how to listen and to focus, even though there's all this stuff happening around us. So I'm just going to open with the poem. I'm going to open with the poem, and then I'm going to bring on Miriam. So the poem is called For the Unknown Self. So much of what delights and troubles you happens on a surface you take for ground. Your mind thinks your life alone, Your eyes consider air your nearest neighbor, yet it seems that a little below your heart there houses in you an unknown self, who prefers the patterns of the dark and is not persuaded by the eye's affection or caught by the flash of thought. It is a self that enjoys contemplative patience with all your unfolding expression, is never drawn to break into light, though you entangle yourself in unworthiness and misjudge what you do and who you are. It presides within like an evening freedom that will often see you enchanted by twilight without ever recognizing the falling night. It resembles the under-earth of your visible life. All you do and say and think is fostered deep in its opaque and prevenient clay. It dwells in a strange yet rhythmic ease that is not ruffled by disappointment. It presides in a deeper current of time, free from the force of cause and sequence that otherwise shapes your life. Were it to break forth into day, its dark light might quench your mind, for it knows how your primeval heart sisters every cell of your life to all your known mind would avoid. Thus, it knows to dwell in you gently, offering you only discreet glimpses of how you construct your life. At times, it will lead you strangely, magnetized by some resonance that ambushes your vigilance. It works most resolutely at night, as the poet who draws your dreams, creating for many secret doors, decorated with pictures of your hunger. It has the dignity of the angelic that knows you to your roots, always awaiting your deeper befriending to take you beyond the threshold of want, where all your diverse strainings can come to wholesome ease. I like the end part. I'll read it again. It works most resolutely at night, as the poet who draws your dreams, creating for you many secret doors, decorated with pictures of your hunger. It has the dignity of the angelic that knows you to your roots, always awaiting your deeper befriending to take you beyond the threshold of want, where all your diverse strainings can come to wholesome ease. So beautiful. And I like that it's entitled The Unknown Self, because I think it is something we forget to tap into, this deep knowing within us, right, that knows all of our hungers and that dwells in us gently, which is why we forget to listen. Maybe her voice is really soft, or maybe his voice is not how you show up in your day-to-day. And I like that it says, yet it seems a little below your heart, right? It's not necessarily the heart that is so quick to express what it wants, but it's underneath the heart. It's been there for a while, like since you were a child. And it remembers all your wants and all of your hungers. And it offers us these discrete glimpses, right? Those are the moments where we feel complete and wholesome and feel seen and known. But they're only glimpses. I thought that was a really nice poem. So, all right, so we're going to get started. We're going to bring on Miriam, and we're going to hear about what she feels about community and just talk about the process. Hi, Miriam.
Hi.
How are you today?
Good. And
Good. I'm good. Thanks for asking. I know we tried this before, and we had a beautiful moment together. But now we are doing it again, so that way other people can get a glimpse of that beautiful moment that we had together. So, thanks for doing it again.
No problem.
So yeah, I just shared a poem. You don't have to share a poem, but what do you feel right now in your life? What does community mean to you?
Um, Community is for me it's like finding your wolf pack,
Mm,
finding the people that you are able to put everything down and they don't judge you. They're there to listen to you, to take care of you and let you just strip yourself of all like the everyday masks that you wear all the time.
yeah,
You can just be yourself and
yeah.
they're accepting of that.
I really like that you call it wolf pack because it's like primal, like kind of like that was saying like the deep hungers that we have and like so to find friends who are part of our wolf pack, like maybe they understand those deep hungers and like they help nurture that. I really like that language. Do you think you've been able to find your wolf pack?
Yes, I feel like I have been able to find those friends that I can like fully depend on
Mm-hmm.
and they fully like support me. They're always there for me. I can just say and do and just be truly myself. And I
Mm-hmm.
know that they won't judge me for it or see me differently. They'll still see me as me.
Mm-hmm. Like, what's been the journey of finding your wolf pack? How long or what have you noticed has been difficult or the most rewarding part?
Um, I guess I don't know. I guess it's just like build it have first it's for me it's like having that connection with
Mm,
a just a person and like slowly kind of like coming out of my shell
mm-hmm,
and like slowly building that trust with this person
mm-hmm.
and as soon as I feel like safe that's when I'm like blah I just put it all out there.
Here I
I'm
am.
like I put it all out there and I don't know, I feel like the bond becomes stronger.
Mm,
Um, I mean, I have had people where I feel like I've been wrong about
mm,
it, or where so I kind of like retreat into my shell and I
mm-hmm,
don't feel as safe as I thought I would be.
mm-hmm,
And that part is hard because then I feel like that person kind of like either what happened or I don't know how to establish that boundary again where I'm like, okay, I thought you were part of my pack or
yeah.
my community, but it's not so.
Mm-hmm.
How
What?
about you? Have you found your wolf pack?
Oh, have I found my wolf pack? When you put it in pack, I think of like cohesive, right? Like you move together. I don't think the same, but like I think cohesive. And I found like people who I feel like can be a part of my wolf pack, but I don't feel like I have that pack yet. If that makes sense, like it's not cohesive yet. Like they're so different that it's been really hard for me to like merge everyone together and feel like I have this like pack. Um, but the language that you're using, we use a language like in my family we say like a village, like it takes a village, and I think I have the village. Like I have people in my life who like support and I can depend on, and like it's like a different imagery of like we're all together in the same proximity, right? But like people live in different places and people have different roles and things like which I guess is the same as a pack, but I I think of the pack a little differently. I think of it more like immediate family, and I want that. Like I want like a
Mhm.
family of friends. Like I really value friends and I want them to be a part of like my marriage and my children and like so maybe like once those things happen, I'll start kind of making my pact, but I don't think I have found my pack yet. Not yet. But what you said makes me think of why I haven't, and it's because, like you said, I've found a lot of people who were not supposed to be in my pack. And I think that wounding has also made me go into my shell. And I do the same thing similarly is like if it doesn't work out, I kind of just retreat to myself or I just kind of retreat from them and I have a hard time reestablishing boundaries or asking for what it is I need from them or how they like disappointed me. Um, And I think for me particularly, the wounding has been going through these like life events, having these friends be there, and then them misunderstanding me and then labeling me. And so then it's hard for me to exist in relationships when people label me and like put me in a box and don't allow me to be myself with all of my emotions. That's really harmful for me because I trust you as my friend. And so sometimes if you're labeling me, I feel like, oh, that's true, but it doesn't mean it's true because it's your interpretation of what I'm going through, and that can be dangerous sometimes. I think when we like rush friendships and we create these ideas of being so close and being like best friends like so fast when they really don't know like the depths of your soul and what you've been through and why you react to certain things a certain way. And so then it's just judgment in the name of love, and that's harmful, you know. And I've had a lot of that, a lot of judgment in the name of love. And so it's hard for me to show up authentically sometimes. I show up in the way that I think they want me to be because I'm like, well, if I show up how you want me to be, then you can't judge me. But then that starts to like, that mask starts to fall off, and then I'm like, I just need to be myself. And then they're like, who's this person? You know, and it's like, it's me. It's always been me. Um, but I'm curious because I was thinking about that as you were responding. What has been some things that have wounded you when you've picked the wrong person to be in your wolf pack?
Well, I guess it's the same as the way they perceive me, where they kind of like box me as well. And then
Mm,
I feel like I can't get out of that.
yeah.
So so when I do start to be myself or break that a little bit, sometimes people are like, "Oh, you changed. Who is this? What happened?"
Mm,
And
mm,
it's like, "No, this is me. I just
yeah.
feel more comfortable and I don't want to be in that box anymore."
Yeah.
You know? Or
Yeah.
I've had people kind of push that relationship as well, being
Mm,
friends, and it kind of makes me like jump back and it's like, whoa, like let's slow down. We're not there yet.
yes.
So it can become a little bit overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
So then that, like, at least right now, what I've done is more like I did retreat into my shell, but then I kind of like almost quit the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But I still want that friendship, but I don't know how to approach it where, okay, you're not part of my pack, but I still see you as a friend, but
Yeah.
not that as close as I thought we were.
Yeah. And that's honestly a hard boundary to do. I feel like, especially in this time, like, I think we have this want, like, even relationally, to like jump into these commitments without like laying foundations. And so people get offended by that and they feel like what you're saying is that there's no opportunity for them to grow. But there is. It's just like you're saying, I just need the time to trust you. But people kind of want like the like, okay, I trust you, you're my best friend, blah 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 blah. And then instead, like as the trust goes away, it's like but it's like that's not really how relationships work. You know, they're more like laying
Yeah.
of bricks and building upon that and like over time. So I feel like I understand you because it's like a lot of pressure, and you can be perceived as mean if you want to go slower because that person is like wanting to be your friend, and it almost comes off like as rejection, but it's not. It's like
Yeah.
protection and boundaries. So I also want to just note our like screens look like they're coming together because we both have the
Oh, the
lights.
lights. I noticed that.
So it's like, wait, let me turn it like this. Wait, no, like this. Now it looks like we're in the same place. That's so funny. Okay, so then with that in the back of our head, how was this process of community right for you? Because, like I think we had hung out a couple of times, but like I could have been the same thing. Like I could have been asking you to tell your story, and I was someone who maybe like shouldn't have been in your pack, but I mean, it worked out. But like, how was that, like, stepping into this vulnerable experience?
Well, You have good energy. So I don't know. It made it easier for me to like open up like little by little to you.
Yeah.
Um, very welcoming.
Oh.
But this process was very I guess very like soul searching and
Mm.
taking that moment to be with my truly be with myself
Mm.
and see what was wrong and what was there that affected me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I did what you said, like, to meditate and stuff like that. Usually I'm not very good at meditating, so I just went for a hike when I first started my the write to write the story.
Mm-hmm.
And at first I thought it was going to be um something different, but when I sat down to write it, like all of a sudden it was about, my breakup,
Mm.
and everything just kind of like started just pouring out. Like
Yeah.
I was just like, puking all these words and all these emotions that I
Mm.
thought were done with.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So it made me take a really hard look within myself
Yeah.
to really see and like bring out what I needed to heal
Mm-hmm.
still.
Yeah, and I know we talked about that a little last time, and I really liked it about this the tendency that we have when we go through these pains and these traumatic experiences to quickly have ourselves be presented as like done with it, like, oh, I'm good, like I'm done with it. I would love for you to share, you don't have to share exactly what you shared last time, but just what that what that process looks like for you, and like why you feel like we do that as women or just as people, have this want to just perce- be perceived as done and over with once we go through something really traumatic.
Um, I guess it's more like a defense mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
And at least for me, when in a way, I'm currently going through like something similar. So in my mind, it's like I don't have time for this. Like
Mm.
I have goals I need to reach. I need to be
Mm.
somewhere in my journey, and
Mm.
I keep going, even though like I'm hurting so much,
Yeah.
and I keep going to a point where I stop feeling that. And so with the community right, that was like a hard like trip because it was
Yeah.
like, oh right, some of these things still affect me. Like how could
Yeah.
I not have taken care of that? That's
Yeah.
part of loving myself, which I'm trying to do.
Mm.
And I don't know, I just wanted to be perceived as brave, like I
Mm.
got this. I'm an
Mm.
independent woman, nothing's gonna tear me down. But like a lot of my friends keep telling me, they're like, you know, part of being strong is being able to just be vulnerable and
Mm.
cry. Like it's
Yeah.
okay to cry. You don't need to be strong all the time.
Yeah.
And I try to like keep in my mind, I think you recommended this book, The Women Who Run with the Wolves. And and I remember one line, it's like, being brave doesn't buy you a place in heaven.
Ooh.
So
Ooh.
so I try to remember that as much
Yeah.
as I can, and just to really take that time to just let it all out and still be okay with myself and knowing that I'm still that strong person and I'm still independent and I can still keep going.
Yeah. That's beautiful self-talk. I like that. I was thinking as you said it too. I think I've had that experience of doing that too as well, and I think for me, I think it's a little more of an experience of shame as well as wanting to be perceived as brave. I identify with you with that, but I also feel like there's a aspect of myself that feels shame, like if it's a situation that I've gone through before that is happening again. It's kind of like I want to be done with it because it's like, why am I going through this again? Like, and I don't want to sit in it long enough for it to tell me that there's something wrong with me. Like, is it me? What's wrong with me? Like, when sometimes it's like what you're saying, if we're not attuning to the things that we need deep inside, if we're constantly not meeting our needs and constantly just like not really healing, that maybe what we're experiencing are old wounds that want to be bandaged up. Um, and I think you kind of allude to that in your story as well, like kind of giving imagery of like bandaging yourself up. Or maybe we just talked about that in our own conversations. But I think sometimes it's like I want to be done because I'm like, if I sit long enough and I think about why this is happening again, I'm scared that the critic in my mind is going to tell me, like, it's because of me. It's because I'm a terrible person and no one wants to be my friend and this and that and that and like all these things that aren't true. But it's just like this feeling of shame, like, because you kind of feel like if you've gone through something one time, like, it shouldn't happen again if I really healed, right? Like, that's kind of like the language that I think my critic says. Like, if you really healed, then you wouldn't be going through this again. But that's not necessarily true. Like, maybe it's just I didn't fully heal. And so these situations are being presented again to give me that opportunity to like dive even deeper. Um, but yeah, it's definitely hard to heal, to go through that process, you know, like to meditate or to take time to go into nature and sit down and like listen to that voice that's like underneath our heart that knows what we need and knows what we want. And then even once we find that or listen to it, it's kind of hard to tell people that. It's kind of hard to like put yourself out there and like ask for that, you know, especially if it's not in alignment with what's socially acceptable or in alignment with what you asked before. You know, I have a tendency of being like, I'm easy. Like, you don't have to show up for me. You don't have to call me, blah, blah, blah. I'm easy. But it's like not true. It's a lie. Like, I need so much attention. But I'm scared to ask for that, right? Because it's like, it's cool right now to be like independent, like not need anyone, and like to kind of be like cool on your own. And it's like, I'm not cool. I'm not, no. I can be on my own, but like there's times where I need a lot of affection and a lot of attention. Um, so I'm learning. I'm learning. It's a learning process. So give us a little synopsis of your story.
Okay, so the story it was about my first breakup, and it was quite the journey because I thought this was like the person,
Yeah.
you know. So as we moved along through our journey, like slowly, like I kind of almost like the little bandage kind of started falling off, where
Mm.
this person that I thought would protect me, care for me, and support me was just it was not it,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And like in the story, right, just how I kind of started losing myself in the relationship to the point where it almost felt like you're drowning and you have your partner and they're not helping. They're
Yeah.
just watching.
Mm.
So you just I just had to, like, I guess, rescue myself
Yeah.
and pick myself in the end of our relationship. Yeah.
And how long was your guys' relationship?
We were together for 4 years. Yeah. It was a
Wow.
long time.
I know. And that's why it's such a long story, but it's so great.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the story you got from it is like absolutely beautiful. Do you want to take a second and share your favorite part?
Yes, I will. I
Okay.
love reading this part.
Me too.
Okay.
I love hearing it.
Ending my 4 year relationship to focus on myself was just a baby step in my long journey to self love, a journey I still struggle with today. Many steps forward and some steps back. As I push onward in my growth, my friends and family cheer me on. I'm slow to learn how to self reflect and be proud of how far I've come. I never think it's enough. I'm my worst critic. I know I haven't fully healed from my previous relationship. Some wounds have been wrapped and ignored, only now nursing myself back to life again, painfully and slowly. I stare at the bits and pieces of the person that once stood in my shoes. I fear for her. But because I fear for her, I fight for her.
I love that ideology of like because you fear yourself and the version of yourself that went through this relationship, you also fight for that version of yourself. And I'm like, that already shows so much healing, because it means that you're on the other side, looking back. And like, no, I want to make sure that I do the work, so that way none of that was in vain, right? Like, none of that was for nothing, or none of that was just for me to just go through it again. Like, it was for me to actually reach another level, to find someone, or to find that person in yourself, where you can rely on yourself as a source and of love and strength. And are you happy with your story?
Yeah, yeah. It's like I think I mentioned it before. Like it's when like reading over it, it's like reading someone else's life. So, like just
Mm.
taking a moment to step out of who I am
Mm.
to read it, and like what I had gone through during that time.
Mm.
And sometimes I still like think about it, like
Yeah.
when I feel alone a little bit, because that's that's how I was. And when I do go back to think about it, it's almost like it's so gloomy, it's so
Mm.
sad. Like,
Yeah.
I remember like wishing my boyfriend would be there for me, like
Mm.
wishing when I cried that he would hold me, like wishing he would give me and provide that strength that I would provide for him.
Yeah.
Like I just wanted something from him,
Yeah.
and he was never able to provide that.
Mm.
So when I read the story, I think back and I'm like, you know what? You're okay now. You know, you're
Mm.
okay. I'm that strength for that girl that was alone
Mm.
in that room crying, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm the one holding myself now.
Yeah.
And just like pushing me forward.
And that's
Yeah.
so beautiful. And good job for doing the work to getting there.
Yeah, it's been quite the journey. Yeah. But it's
Yeah.
still going on.
I, I know you said that you're kind of going through a similar situation again. So, like, how do you feel like you're approaching it differently than how you did then?
Um, ooh, this one is actually very hard.
Mm.
Very hard
Yeah.
because at least with this person, in his arms, I felt very safe. That
Yeah.
is what I was looking for,
Yeah.
but it didn't work out. So
Yeah.
now it's like I don't know, like falling and grasping for something that I had searched for so much, and like I had it and then I lost it.
Yeah.
But I mean, in a way, it's different because he's a very supportive person, and even like with this now, like he was supportive in it, you know, checking in on me, but it's different now, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm able to like still catch myself, even though I long to be, you know, with that person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I don't know, when this story dropped, it was weird.
Yeah.
I'm like, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess it's another level of that healing, because it looks different, right? You got what you finally wanted, and now you know that it's out there, and like now you've healed that part that maybe didn't believe that that was out there. But it's another level because you've lost it, and that loss is like so hard to grieve once you've had the thing that you've wanted and suffered so long without. And so I'm really interested to see like where it's going to take you in your healing, because it's not going to look linear, it's not going to look perfect, but I mean, I'm really proud of you for letting out the emotions and understanding the differences between the two and still trying to move forward. I'm sorry though.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm proud, and I'm actually genuinely happy that you got to taste it, even if it was just for a little bit. Like, I'm really happy that part you got to
Yeah.
receive it for a moment.
and that's what I keep focusing on. It's like, you know what? I'll cherish, that time.
Yeah.
And like I know that it's, like you said, it's out there, and whenever I'm ready, or it'll happen again.
Yes. Who's ever
Yeah.
lucky enough? And so, what do you think you want other people to learn or to get from your story?
um like um that they're not alone, and it I don't know, it's okay to be the hero of your own story, you know? Like I during like when I was thinking during that time, it's like I was saying, I was alone expecting this person to be there for me, and
Mm.
I didn't know I could just be there and rescue myself, and
Mm.
pull myself out of, that darkness that I felt when I was
Mm.
depressed, sad, or anything like that.
Mm.
Um, yeah, and you can do it on your own. It's hard,
Yeah.
but you can. It's
It's in
possible.
you.
Yeah.
No, I think your story, I think that that lesson is really clear for sure. And I'm glad that that's the lesson you want people to get from it, because I've already got that from your story. Literally, like reading your story, I was like, you have this part where you're like questioning yourself in under the lens of like how he viewed you, like he felt like you didn't try hard enough, or like you were just like his ex, or things like that, and like you questioned yourself within that lens, but you also acknowledge like your own self. Like you would say like, well, like I gave it my everything, but if that's what you're saying, then I'll try harder. And like that first conversation with yourself, I was like, like I don't think I do that. Like I usually am just like, okay, well they say I'm not being enough, so I must not be enough. But I liked that you acknowledged yourself, and I thought that was so powerful, because I definitely have seen how in my journey I have always needed a source, whether it's like a mentor or a book or a podcast. Like I'm always turning to some source. And so like I want to say thank you to you, because of your story, through reading it, which I enjoyed every time. I had to read like 10 different times, but I was like I like loved it, because I learned something new each time, and like because of your story, like now I'm like, oh, like I mean, all those things can be sources of inspiration, like helping you get the ball rolling. But truly, like, it comes down to you. Like, you are the source. Like, within yourself, you're the source. Like, you have the answers to yourself, to your needs, to your wants, to your solutions and your problems. But, like you said, it's just hard. And I think that's maybe why we turn to outside sources. One, because we're told to, right? We're told, like, oh, you need school, you need adults, you need people who have PhDs and who have this and this and that, like they have insight. But it's like, okay, sure, but they really can't answer my issues. I have to. Even if I'm taking those things from outside sources, I'm coming to my own conclusions. And so I'm really thankful to you for telling your story, and giving me the permission to tell my story in a way that is similar to you. And that's what I think I love about community, is like we can adopt little practices and rituals from each other. And so I definitely owe that one to you. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Like your sister, when she first told me about this, at first I was like, I don't know if I want to put myself out there, but I don't. Once I did, that definitely like encouraged me
Mhm.
to just like write more as well,
Mhm.
and look at different ways to help myself
Mhm.
to take care of me,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
it's a very inspiring thing, because yeah, we learn from each other, and we take
Yeah.
these small things that we can learn and see if they would help us, um, be better as
Yeah.
a person, and
Mhm.
be better for others too.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yay! Well, I mean, so yeah, your story. I'm gonna link your story under the video. And do you think you'll continue telling your story this way, publicly and through
Uh,
writing?
yeah, I think so, yes. You know,
Yeah.
like at first I was very afraid
Mm.
because I'm like, what if he reads it? Or what if he
Oh, yeah.
texts me or says something bad?
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what? This is my story
Mm.
and he can't take that away from me. So
Mm.
I'm like,
Mm.
I was, I'm out there.
Good job. Good job for not letting him censor you in fear of what he might say. I'm so proud of you. Your story is wonderful. I believe it's about, for those wanting to read it, it's about a 22-minute read. But if you read faster, maybe 15 minutes. But it's best read, I think, at nighttime with like dim lights and like a warm drink.
Yes.
That's my recommendation. But, however people like to read, they can read it. But yeah, I hope that, I mean, that's it. Did you want to share anything else?
Um, no, I mean, I don't think so. No, just thank you for this opportunity. I question myself. I'm like, oh my God, like, what if I would have never done this? What if I
Mm.
would have never written that?
Mm.
Like, where would I be? Would I still
Yeah.
be self-analyzing or, um, how would I have been?
Yeah.
But I'm very glad I took this opportunity and did this because it was very helpful,
Mm-hmm.
and it let me know that I'm on the right path
Mm.
for myself and in my healing. Yeah, so thank you, Felicia.
Oh, you're welcome, Miriam. Thank you. Honestly, we have mutual admiration and mutual gratitude. So you're welcome, and thank you too.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. I hope that this little burst of super of emotion didn't throw you off or anything, or that you can like take it with the rest of your day and feel proud of yourself and let that linger on in the back of your head if anything else tries to come to the forefront, because you
Yeah,
should be proud of yourself for sure.
thank you.
You're welcome. All right, well, that's the end, and we'll probably talk soon, but thank you for doing it again with me.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Beautiful. So beautiful. All right, everyone, make sure you read her story. Make sure you go on MissParisiaB.com under Community Write, and you can read it there. Again, it was about a 22-minute write. And if you're interested in doing the same project or the same process, it can be a project, working on ourselves. But if you two are interested, you can always email me, let me know about your interests, let me know about you wanting to write, and it lives on my blog for forever, ever. And so I really love hearing, reading, and helping construct people's stories. And it's really supposed to be a process that, um, which is interesting, that I've always had this want for it to be a process that acknowledged the people telling their stories, for them to acknowledge themselves as the source. But I never really considered that for myself. So what beautiful healing. I'm glad that you guys got to see it. But it's so true. I think we look to people like me who create these programs, or people who are above me, who have PhDs, or facilitating these really great projects that inspire us. And I think instead of coming at it with a sense of admiration for them creating, and recognizing we admire that creation because it lives within ourselves, and that we too have and hold that same authority, and that we don't need to turn to other people in order to hold that same authority within ourselves, in order to tell our stories, in order to validate our stories. It's not about the accolades you have, or the community of people you have watching. It could be you talking to an audience of one, of two. It could be your dog, your plant, your mirror. It's a community, and it deserves attention, and it deserves for you to authenticate it in the same way that you authenticate others. So, I hope that was clear. I hope you got that. I want to read the poem one more time just to end it off. So I'm going to read it again. And hope you take it with you and you begin your journey learning about the unknown self. It says, for the unknown self, so much of what delights and troubles you happens on the surface, and you take it for ground. Your mind thinks your life alone. Your eyes consider air your nearest neighbor, maybe your only neighbor. Yet it seems that a little below your heart, I love that. Yet it seems that a little below your heart, there houses in you an unknown self, who prefers the patterns of the dark and is not persuaded by the eye's affection or caught by the flash of thought. It is a self that enjoys contemplative patience with all your unfolding and expression. It is never drawn to break into light, though you entangle yourself in unworthiness and misjudge what you do and who you are. Though you entangle yourself in unworthiness and misjudge what you do and who you are. It presides within like an evening freedom that will often see you enchanted by twilight without ever recognizing the falling of night. It resembles the under-earth of your visible life. Ooh, the under-earth of your invisible life. Wow. Let's do that, you guys. Let's make a vow to dig through the under-earth of our invisible lives, where all you do and say and think is fostered. It dwells in a strange yet rhythmic ease that is not ruffled by disappointment. It presides in a deeper current of time, free from the force or cause of sequence. Right? Sequence, I interpret that as like what should be, right? There's a sequence of events, what's supposed to happen, what we're supposed to do. You're supposed to go to college, you're supposed to get a degree, you're supposed to. What are your supposed to's? Maybe write that. That'd be a fun practice. Write that down and burn it. To free you from the force of cause and sequence that otherwise shapes your life. Wow. Were it to break forth into day, its dark light might quench your mind. Wow. So maybe we don't dig into our under earths because day to day, following each sequence, right? Being a prisoner to all these things we're supposed to do. If we were to really let our invisible life shine through, it would quench our life. It would be so overwhelming, right? Because we have been suppressing these needs and these wants for so long. For it knows how your primeval heart sisters every cell of your life to all your unknown mind would avoid. That's so beautiful. For those of us who have sisters, we know the presence of a sister is the presence of truth, the presence of command, right? The presence of journeying and holding each other. And that's so beautiful for this deep invisible life, sisters every cell of our life, right? It journeys alongside, right? It lets us make our own choices, lets us follow this little sequence, but it also wants to remind us that all the things that we know deep inside that we're trying to avoid, that's truly what our hearts want. Thus, it knows to dwell in you gently, offering you only discreet glimpses of how you construct your life. How beautiful. And so because of that, maybe we don't listen. You know, maybe it's gently letting us know. And so we're like, it's easy to ignore. Maybe we don't listen, it's easy to ignore. I don't know, what's true for you? At times, it will leave you strangely magnetized by some resonance that ambushes your vigilance. At times, it will lead you strangely magnetized by some resonance that ambushes your vigilance. I experienced this. I think that's what I was talking about with Miriam, right? Existing in these spaces that are not fully, and with these people that don't fully meet my needs, right? And being vigilant in that way. I want to look up vigilance. I'm sorry, we're going to take a pause because I know what I think it means to me. Let's get a general definition. To be vigilant, watchful to detect danger, awake and alert. It ambushes that. Interesting. Maybe I understood differently. Let's keep reading. It works most resolutely at night, as the poet who draws your dreams, creating for you many secret doors, decorated with pictures of your hunger. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So it ambushes that alertness, right? It ambushes our waking life. I think it recognizes that there's so much happening in our waking life. I think it recognizes that sometimes sequence is needed. And so it meets us in our dreams, in the dark, right? Which is something that should be scary, but it makes it beautiful. And it holds our longings and our hunger. And it makes beautiful pictures for us. So that way we can see it. And right when we dream, what do you think of? You think of like hoping and imagining and wishing. So it almost speaks the same language as our longing. Oi! It works most resolutely at night as the poet who draws your dreams, creating for you many secret doors, decorated with pictures of your hunger. Oh, that makes me emotional because it's like it makes your longing a journey. It makes it an adventure, right? So we don't have to look at it as an experience of lack. We don't have to look at it as, oh, they're not meeting my needs, and I'm so sad about that. And maybe that would be the truth if it communicated to our waking life, right? But it's communicating to our, let me make sure. Hold on, I lost my sound. I hope you can still hear me. It's not communicating to our waking life. It's communicating to our dream life. And in our dream life, there we have hope, and there we have desire, and there we have longing. And it makes these secret doors, and we're going on these adventures while we're asleep. And then we wake up and like, we want that, right? But it's like a craving instead of an experience of lack. And I think I struggle with that. I struggle with my needs not being met. I struggle with experiencing that as an experience of lack instead of an adventure, of going on an adventure to receive and discover what I need. And that's probably a more wholesome and peaceful way of journeying, a more transformative way of journeying, a more graceful way of journeying. Not in the sense of appearing more graceful, but in the sense of not having to be victim to loss and lack. Okay, we're going to end it. It has the dignity of the angelic that knows you to your roots, always awaiting your deeper befriending, to take you beyond the threshold of want, where all your diverse strainings can come to wholesome ease. I love that. And that's a journey. And I'm really learning that lesson. Hi, Mr. Car. Mr. Engine. I'm really learning that lesson, that it's a journey, that it doesn't have to be perfected, that it doesn't have to be done right now. And so may this inspire you. May you take that with you as well. May you feel the grace and the peace. Can you hear me over this car? May you feel the grace and the peace of knowing it doesn't have to be done right now. May you adventure and have fun, remembering what it means to be a child. May you meet people who bring out different versions of you. May you relax. May you go into conflict knowing that this is not an experience of a lack, but an adventure of learning how to better communicate, better ask, better discern, better create. It's all about creating. We're here to create boundaries, improvement, love, rituals, meals, words, stories. But it takes time, and there's other messages out there that overpower. So maybe if you heard 9 things telling you about how nothing's enough, let this be the 10th, telling you that enough is within you. And here's to journeying to find it and listen. Thanks for listening.